So I have multiple channels. I have this channel that I share videos on, and I have my original OG one from when I first ever made a YouTube account. And for the most part, I try to be not logged in when I'm watching a lot of different source things that I use, because I like to keep my private channel's algorithm very much geared to what I actually enjoy watching. And for the most part, I don't really watch anything when I'm logged in to this account. However, I occasionally will not notice that this account is logged in, and I'll end up watching something on there, and it's made the suggestions very weird and random for this channel. And thanks to that, I found a very interesting creator. And the original video that was pushed to me was titled, "Modern Christianity Doesn't Make Sense Anymore." And so I clicked it because with a title like that, it could have gone a lot of different ways. And I was interested to see where it would go. I didn't do my intro. Hi, I am former fundie. Welcome if you're new. If you're a return viewer, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And if you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. You can also support this channel by doing things like liking and hyping, whatever hyping does. And there is now the option to give super thanks. And so if you give a super thanks, I will make sure to thank you back in a future video. So this YouTuber goes by KayPodgee. I apologize if that's an incorrect pronunciation. And from watching this first video, I thought she was fairly normal, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. And when I was watching it, I thought, oh, this might be a good one to react to and give a title, something like, "I've never agreed and disagreed with a video more," because as I was watching, it was literally she would say something and I would be like, yeah, exactly right on, girl. And then the next thing she would say, I would be like, maybe let's unpack that a little bit. But I did want to do my due diligence and just see what type of person she was overall. And oh boy, did it go downhill real quick. And so instead of talking too much about this specific video, which I did find very well done, like I said, there was a lot of points I agreed with and a lot I didn't agree with. But this other stuff, oh my gosh. Girl, I am sorry. No hate to you. I don't want anyone to like go over there and say nasty things to her. But girl, one, I think you should open up a science textbook and learn about the different types of clouds. I think that would go a long way, and you guys will very soon see what I mean about that. So let's start with this video. The moon is emitting red beams.
It's pretty much every single night that I feel like I see insane things in the sky. Is nobody else watching the sky? Because it's giving like War in the Heavens / Truman Show.
I love The Truman Show. It's a really good movie. I recommend it.
So last night I was watching the moon and I was like, it's turning really red and it seems like it's like putting out red light beams or something. So I started recording. This is not the first time I've seen this. The moon will start doing something and it gets like swallowed up or covered up by some kind of wall or something.
So that kind of wall or something is called a cloud, and clouds occur in the sky. And there are a lot of various types of clouds and different shapes that they can be.
It looks like clouds, but I'm telling you guys, it's not clouds, because anytime I've seen this, it's a completely clear night and you can still see the stars. Like, it's not clouds.
There wasn't a cloud in the sky. No clouds allowed in the sky.
What do you mean? I can see the clouds in your video. Even though the video quality is absolutely shit, you do understand that when there are clouds in the sky, there's not always clouds covering the entire sky. even in storms, there will be breaks in the clouds where you can see the sky. Or maybe there'll be nights where there's only a few clouds in the sky and you can still see some stars. And so just because you can see some stars in her video there, I can see very, very clearly the outline of a cloud in like the bottom left, like approaching where she's got her little moon sliver. And there are a lot of times where I have looked out and seen the moon, and sometimes it'll be a like silvery white in the sky. Sometimes it'll be very yellow. Sometimes I've seen it a very beautiful kind of harvesty looking orange. And sometimes we have things called blood moons where the moon looks kind of red. These are not unnatural phenomenon, and the color of the moon varies wildly depending on atmospheric conditions and, cloud coverage in the sky, and even the type of recording equipment that you are using. And so, very quick example here. There were a few times not too long ago where we were told that we would be able to see the northern lights at night in an area where you normally can't. And one of the nights, my husband and I, we drove out to where it was very dark and we could not see the northern lights at all. But there was one area of the sky that I was like, it looks kind of like greenish tint over there. And so I pulled out my phone, and my phone captured what my eyes could not see. It captured the northern lights because it was able to distinguish those minute differences that my eye wasn't able to. And my phone does a lot of like correction in low lighting, and so it was able to take it. But when phones are doing correction like that, sometimes there can be like visual, I think they're called artifacts sometimes, of like the camera glitching in certain ways, sometimes picking up things that aren't there, sometimes picking up particles of dust that are really close. And so sometimes you can get a lot of just like weird things that will happen with phone cameras, especially with weird like little bursts or flashes of light where it's like failing to do the capture properly, or it's picking up something very subtle that like eyes would never see.
And then right after this, there's like red lightning or something. It's like the firmament opens up, or the Iron Dome. I don't know. See what I mean? You can see a star in the top corner. That's not a cloud. There was no clouds in the sky.
What do you mean there are no clouds? That is like the most cloud-shaped cloud outline in front of the moon that's like covering part of it that I've ever seen. Just because there's not clouds covering those little tiny stars that you've picked up doesn't mean that it's not a cloud covering the moon. What are you talking about?
And this is not the only time that I've seen this. I've seen this multiple times. I just never catch it on camera because I'm too late. Did you see that?
It was lightning. There was like not a beam coming from the moon. There was lightning happening to the left of the moon in the cloud that is covering the moon. Girl. And because of just the color settings in this video, I don't know if the lightning was truly reddish, but red lightning is a documented phenomenon in higher elevation areas, and is sometimes called a sprite or a red sprite. But red lightning does happen in very high areas of the atmosphere where the air is very thin. And so it's rarer than normal lightning, but it's not like this new undocumented phenomenon that people don't know about. People know about this. They're not commenting on it because it's not a supernatural phenomenon. It's documented and explainable.
And I cannot stress this enough. You could see with your eyes in person, there were no clouds. The whole sky was full of stars. Like, you can see stars on this video.
Girl, I see you're wearing glasses. Get your prescription checked, because I can tell in your video that there are obviously clouds in the sky. I can see the outline of the cloud in the sky. There is at least one big cloud in the sky right now. So girl, please get your eyes checked.
And it looks like clouds on video that like perfectly blend into the firmament or something.
What? Clouds in the video that perfectly blend into the firmament? What do you mean? I know and understand the concept of the firmament. It's something that it's not all and only flat earthers that use it, but there are sections of Christianity that take the verses about the firmament very literally, and so they believe that there is just like a dome above the earth that is called the firmament. I suppose you could just call the atmosphere the firmament if you wanted, but usually when people believe in a firmament, they think things like you can't leave it. So they probably, this girl maybe doesn't believe that we've been to the moon or things like that, or been to space. It looks, on the video, it looks like clouds that perfectly blend into the firmament. What? Do you mean that it's just so dark that you can only see the outline of the clouds where there's adequate light to see the outline? For example, when the clouds are near the moon? Because at night, the sky is very dark, except for the little points of light that are stars and the larger source of light, which is the moon. And so it is much harder in these dark conditions to see clouds unless the clouds are close enough or covering or partially covering one of these sources of light. And so I guess the rest of the cloud blends in with the darkness further away from the moon, but by the moon, you can clearly see it's the outline of clouds.
I also had my camera set up. You can actually see the moonbeams that I was talking about. And the Bible says that the moon can strike you. Watch. I honestly thought that I was losing my marbles.
You are losing your marbles. Your phone camera is just glitching out. I've seen my camera on my phone do very similar things in lower light conditions with lights that were not the moon. I'm sorry. This is not... You have shown me nothing.
You guys saw that, right? Mind you, there was definitely no clouds in the sky.
Do you see how the image itself glitches as well? Her camera's just having a hard time picking up the low light conditions. Again, lightning in the sky. It's just lightning in the clouds and the phone camera glitching out. Now, this looks like that red lightning phenomenon that I talked about before. That's called sprites or red sprites. With the mountains and stuff too, that leads me to believe that this is a higher altitude area where the air is very thin, and this lightning is probably happening in the upper atmosphere, which is the conditions for red lightning.
And then a couple days before that, I saw two suns in the sky again. Notice how they're like the sun is like showing up in the clouds, but then like the discs are traveling on their own. I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore.
I don't even know what she's looking at anymore. I feel like what's happening here is that it's not like two separate suns in the sky. It's that there's the image of the sun that you get when it's shining directly at you with no cloud cover anytime it passes through one of the breaks in the clouds. And then there's also the image of the sun through the clouds that's occurring. And because that cloud is higher in the sky than you are as an observer on the ground, that sunlight is hitting that cloud sooner than the light from the sun hits the earth. And so I think that is what would explain this phenomenon that she's saying is weird here. I really think that's all that's happening. There's nothing, you're just showing me things, normal things from the sky.
I also notice all the time anymore that around sunset, the firmament, like you could see it, and it's not clouds.
What do you mean it's not clouds? This is what I meant. This girl needs to pick up like an elementary or middle school science book and open to the atmosphere section and read about the types of clouds. So when I look at this, This looks like maybe altostratus clouds, or like stratus or cirrostratus, any of the ones that are like long and wispy. This is a type of cloud.
It looks like a rippled fabric, and I'm undecided because the Bible says that God stretches out the firmament like a tent to dwell in.
The wispy ones, they just have different names based off of what their elevation is, but these kind of thin, very like brushstroke, or she's calling it like a fabric. This is a type of cloud that exists. Not every type of cloud is the fluffy little cumulus or cumulonimbus cloud. There are other types of clouds that exist in the sky other than the very cartoony, fluffy ones. And this is just another type of cloud. So I don't know what she means when she says, see, there are no clouds in the sky, and shows me a picture where there are very clearly clouds in the sky, and then equates it to a Bible verse.
So is it God making adjustments?
Is it God making adjustments? That implies that God made the firmament imperfect, that it requires adjustments. That's odd to me. That's very odd to me.
Is it the golden dome that I believe might already be over us?
Or she believes it's the golden dome that might already be above us? That does feel very Truman Show. Trump does want to build a golden dome, but it would be more like the Iron Dome that Israel has. Like, it's not a literal dome over the nation if they did already make this golden dome, which is part of what Trump wanted Greenland for. But really, it's just like a missile protection system to protect from incoming missiles and stop them.
I don't know. Has anybody else seen this?
Yes, I have seen this type of cloud quite regularly because I look at the sky and there are lots of types of clouds and they are very lovely and nice to enjoy. But the weirdness did not stop there. The next video I clicked on from her was one that was titled, "Trump Gives Spiritual Warning." And while I don't want to watch this entire video, I do want to call out one particular section of it because it makes me so curious about her theology.
I've done a ton of content on how and why I believe that Trump is Nebuchadnezzar. Like, whether the spirit of Nebuchadnezzar / Apollo is within him, or I don't know. I don't know exactly the spiritual mechanics, but he fits the profile of Nebuchadnezzar in every way possible.
So she, like she said, believes that Trump is Nebuchadnezzar. The fact that she didn't jump to, oh, in a spiritual sense, he's the same as Nebuchadnezzar, as in God is using him as a tool to punish his people. Instead, she's like, he holds the spirit of Nebuchadnezzar / Apollo. And then caveated, she doesn't know how the spiritual mechanics works. But that implies that she believes that Trump, like, has the spirit of Nebuchadnezzar, is perhaps the, like, reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar. Girl, what does this mean about your theology? Do you think people get reincarnated? Or spirits, not like evil spirits, but spirits of, like, past spiritual tools of God can inhabit and dwell or possess people currently living today? What does this mean? What does this theologically mean? And then the icing on the cake, I think, was this one, which was titled, "They Are Watching for the Second Coming." And this is where she brings the Northern Lights specifically into her theology.
There's a reason that they've been spraying us and putting certain materials in all of our food and water. I think I know what it is. I'm going to show you this clip, and then I'm going to show you what I think it relates to. And just for the record, I would never hurt myself, and I don't do anything dangerous.
Okay, she's going to tell us. She's going to tell us what it is. I mean, I think one of the things is microplastics, because I know that's been a thing about how a lot of us have microplastics inside of us. Although I don't think that that was an intentional thing done to us. I think it's just a byproduct of the shitty ways we've been doing manufacturing globally.
Does anybody else wonder why they keep finding hella metal in our food? What I told her is how much metal you have in your body will affect you when this thing happens.
When what thing happens?
It has to do with frequency.
Oh, we're bringing frequency into this.
Okay, so that I stay safe and I can come back and I stay alive, I'll tell you something. I will give you a hint of what he showed me. It's going to happen. And you have to get rid of these metals in your body. And I know exactly how to do it very easily. If you want to do it fast and quick, it would be green drinks. Anything green.
Just anything that's the color green? Any drink that is green?
And, the whole fiber thing, all that. I know. But what I'm saying is there's something with chlorophyll that has to do with it matches. It's very close to your blood in its structure. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. Specifically things with chlorophyll. This little clip that we have this guy in that she's referencing that's layered over some other thing. In this little clip, it looks like this man is speaking at a church because you can see the music set up behind him. So this is a guy sharing something at a church. I wish we had a little bit more context about who told him this thing that he's sharing with everyone. But there are a lot of just natural occurring metals and minerals in certain things and foods. And then also are like poor practices in certain things like factory farming, and the way we've polluted water has caused there to be more metals and heavy metals in things that naturally would not have been there. But I don't think these are intentional acts. They are the byproducts of not taking care of our environment and not having good regulations in our manufacturing and in our farming.
Okay, so you have to have a carrier that will grab things and take them out of your body, okay? That's why I wanted her to speak to you about this.
Who's her?
So if you want to know what's going to happen, and it could happen tomorrow, it could happen, but they're going to say it's something else. You're going to have to do your own thinking about this. I don't want to get in trouble. But just stick a piece of foil in a microwave and picture that in your body.
Don't follow his advice. Do not stick foil in your microwave. Don't put any metal in your microwave. But I feel like what he's implying is that there's going to be some huge microwave attack. And if there was some huge microwave attack, we would be fucked. We would be cooked, literally, whether or not there's metal content in our body. Like, being attacked by microwaves is a bad thing, regardless. Who? Sir. I know you keep having these caveats about, like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble by sharing this. But I feel like that's just the, like, conspiratorial shorthand to try to make your crackpot theories seem more credible, because it manufactures that there's a cost for you in sharing this. And I don't necessarily personally find it more credible when people are giving these types of caveats, because it does just seem like costly signaling instead of actual danger that these people are in.
And now you know the devil's plan.
And now I know the devil's plan? I need way more context. What I piece together from that is that the devil's plan is to get a lot of metals in our body so that when someone does a microwave attack on us, that our bodies aren't like foil in a microwave. What? If there was some sort of massive microwave attack, we would be cooked, literally, regardless of the amount of metal in our body. And sad news for you all, we contain a lot of metal in our body, because what is a big component of our blood? Iron, and iron is a metal. But don't worry, guys, if you just drink a lot of green drinks that are heavy in chlorophyll, you'll be fine, I guess. But that was vague as fuck, and I'm really curious to see where she takes it.
Matthew 24, Jesus says that the second coming will be like lightning that comes from the east and shines as far as the west. So it's coming from the sun. So will be the coming of the Son of Man.
This is a simile. When you say that something will be like something else, that is a simile. It doesn't mean that the coming of the Son of Man will be literal lightning. It's saying it will be like lightning, which I would interpret as it will be bright and sudden, because lightning is bright and sudden and electrifying. Maybe the coming of the Son of Man will feel very electrifying, but this is not. This is why it's important to actually study the Bible academically instead of just assuming you understand what it says just by reading it, especially if you don't understand poetic concepts like similes and metaphors.
So the sun also creates coronal mass ejections, which are essentially just northern lights or solar flares.
Now, what she says here is technically incorrect. Coronal mass ejections are not the same thing as the northern lights. The northern lights are very gorgeous, and it is the visual phenomenon of seeing the Earth's magnetic field interacting with incoming magnetic activity. So a coronal mass ejection from the sun would probably make the northern lights more vibrant when that's occurring because of the magnetic interference. But the coronal mass ejections are not the same thing as the northern lights. The northern lights are just the Earth's magnetic field's reaction to incoming magnetic things and radiation. If somebody here is an atmospheric scientist, you could probably give a better answer than that, but I would just in very layman's terms, a very layman understanding, the northern lights are not the same thing as a coronal mass ejection. And the coronal mass ejections are when the sun has a little hiccup or a little spit up. You'll see them in telescopes with the sun shooting out a little beam that goes a little further, or it'll be a little arc.
You guys know how they keep saying that there's going to be a solar flare that puts the grid down. If you have strong discernment and you know the Bible, I would encourage you to start looking at these topics in the news because they make it, in my opinion, super obvious.
On the screen here, you can see she has something up at the top that says, "What makes a cannibal coronal mass ejection?" It's very interesting what she says she thinks that means, but a cannibal coronal mass ejection is just when there's two coronal mass ejections happening at the same time, one that's smaller and then one that's bigger and overtakes and swallows it. So it's calling itself cannibal because it's one mass ejection eating another mass ejection, but there's not actual cannibalism occurring. It's just the way that they've decided to describe this phenomenon.
What makes a cannibal coronal mass ejection? Cannibals eat people. God is a consuming fire. And we're supposed to be living sacrifices, right? I've been talking to you guys. I have found a million reasons that in my mind completely prove that the rapture event or the second coming will be a Northern Lights global event. And I think that that will also roll back the scroll of the firmament, just like Isaiah and Revelation say. And I think they're calling it a cannibal CME because when you had to make offerings to God, he would come down and eat them via fire from the sky.
Girl, did you look at what cannibal coronal mass ejection means? Did you click on this first news link where I'm certain it would have described what this naming of the phenomenon means? Yes, the Bible does refer to God as an all-consuming fire. Just because you could say an all-consuming fire is cannibalistic, because if it's consuming everything, it's also consuming itself, I guess?
So lightning from east to west, right? It's pretty standard for the auroras to create light arcs from east to west in polar regions. So I don't think that it's that far off to think that this could just be a global version.
If there was a Northern Lights global event, that would be, one, gorgeous, but two, probably terrifying. Because if there's something coming in so strongly that our Earth's magnetic field, which is kind of a shield for us, is so affected that we see the Northern Lights across the entire globe, even in areas of daylight, I think, once again, we might be cooked, literally. Because I don't know if we would be able to stand that type of radiation or magnetic interference. That might take stuff down in the same way an EMP would take stuff down. So I'm not discounting that like an event that would cause a mass like Northern Lights experience wouldn't be like apocalyptic in some way, but I don't think that that's gonna happen. And if it did happen, it would be some sort of a space or atmospheric phenomenon, and I think completely natural, whether it does or doesn't cause some sort of mass extinction event. Because mass extinction events have happened a lot of times on this planet. And so it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I don't see any evidence of that occurring.
And I have antique science books that say that the northern lights are made of the exact same material as lightning. It's just a version that seeps down from the firmament rather than a concentrated strike like lightning would be.
What? She is a flat earther. She is, because she called it a global phenomenon, but then her text on the screen very clearly states, oh, we live in a snow globe. The firmament is the globe. So the earth is flat, and then we have a little globe over top of us that's the snow globe. Just like the studio for the Truman Show that was a big dome. We are all living in the Truman Show.
And Jesus says it would be like the days of Noah. And Noah is the agency that watches the northern lights like a hawk. They're obsessed with the auroras. Why would they name it Noah?
Why would they name it Noah? What do you mean? Just because the acronym sounds similar to the name of a biblical character does not mean that that was the intent. NOAA is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA. Just saying NOAA rolls off the tongue a lot easier than NOAA. So I don't blame the organization or people for just saying it that way instead of saying NOAA every time or saying National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And so just because there's a sound similarity doesn't mean that it's a one-to-one. I also would not say that NOAA is obsessed with the aurora. Their job is to monitor the atmosphere and the ocean. And they do that. They do both of those things. And part of monitoring the atmosphere is monitoring the northern lights, because the northern lights is an atmospheric phenomenon. And they do also a lot of monitoring of the sun and solar flares, because those flares interact with our atmosphere. And that is literally their job, to monitor the ocean and the atmosphere. So they are not obsessed specifically with the northern lights any more than they are obsessed with their job of monitoring these things.
My antique science books say that the auroras used to be classified as a type of cloud also. In Genesis 9, God said, "This is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow in the cloud." Rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth and the bow is in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh.
Okay, so you're looking specifically at antique science books? Is this why you don't know the types of clouds? Or you do know the types of clouds because you know that the auroras used to be classified as a type of cloud in the past? You do know that in science, sometimes we learn that we were incorrect about things. And when that happens, science books get updated. So antique science books are not necessarily better than modern science textbooks. And just because the auroras at one time were classified as a type of cloud doesn't mean that you can then apply it to this Bible passage about after God decided to have a redo and murder everyone on the earth except for Noah and his family, including all of the children who, in Christianity, we tend to believe that children are innocent before the age of accountability. So murdering all of these innocent children and just everyone on the face of the earth except for Noah and his family.
Jesus drove the children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they were evil in his sight. So Jesus drove the little children of the world.
So she's referencing this verse about the end of that mass murder and about how God puts a rainbow to signify that he'll never flood the earth like that again, and is tying that to the aurora borealis. Excuse me, what now?
So the reason that they're spraying and trying to stuff us all with these materials.
Who is they? Oh my gosh. This has been going on this tangent from her, which I know I am also equally guilty of tangents, but I completely forgot that this was about spraying chemicals and metals. I'm so excited to see how this all comes together with you.
Is because when this happens, it's either going to upgrade your DNA, and they're saying this openly. That's why I'm encouraging you guys to do your own research on it.
Who is this they that is saying this openly? Sources needed, please. Please give me sources, Kay.
Or if you're full of parasites and metals.
Parasites? We didn't even bring up parasites before. If you're full of parasites or metals. Is she gonna get in trouble for saying that we're full of metals? Like a known fact?
It will literally break your DNA strands.
Like, fuck, I take supplements. I take supplements that contain metals. Am I, like, mega cooked? Because I have, like, iron deficiency. Am I gonna, like, die when this happens because I take iron supplements? Please, Kay, I need more information. How many green drinks do I need to drink to be safe?
So it's my belief that when we walk in unrepentant sin, we give legal grounds in the spiritual realm for parasites and therefore metals, because they're a combined package, to live and enter our system.
Are parasites demons? So if we're not right with God, we're giving permission for parasites to enter our body. What about all of the Christian missionaries, of which I have known several, myself included when I was a faithful Christian, who got things like Giardia? That's a parasite from water, and you have to take an anti-parasitic medication to flush it out. So are all of those missionaries who have had Giardia not right with God because there was a parasite in their system? Like, if you ever are infected by any type of parasite, does that mean you're not right with the Lord? Because you've somehow given permission to the parasites to enter? Like, I think the way you get parasites is by ingesting things or swimming in water that is infected with parasites. I think that's how you get parasites. I don't think it's a, honor system with the parasites. Parasites by nature infect things. And so if they have a chance to infect you, I don't think your spiritual standing matters. I think if you swim in that dirty water, or if you drink water that has not been like properly purified or boiled, you might get a parasite. Or if you're eating food that contains parasites, you might get a parasite. I don't think it's, I think she's over spiritualizing it. Just a bit.
When we repent, they're taken.
If we repent, the parasites just disappear. They're taken? Are they like beamed out of her body? Did they just disappear? Taken how? And how did we go from metals to parasites? I feel like the parasites just came completely out of left field.
That's my personal belief. So what I think is going to happen, and this is not thus saith the Lord, this is, I think this.
Okay, thank you finally for giving a caveat that this is not thus saith the Lord. This is just your opinion. Thanks for finally saying that more than halfway through the video.
People that are full of unrepentant sin and like just walking in lawlessness.
Walking in lawlessness. I'd go see that band.
There's DNA strands, and remember, your entire body is made up of DNA, are just going to snap. There will be people who are like upgraded, and that's like the rapture event. And then there's going to be people that are struck with leprosy or some form of like rapid cancer. And I think that's people that are like kind of repentant, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
So she thinks that there's going to be some sort of atmospheric event that shoots us like lightning or affects us in a way that it affects our DNA. And so if we're good Christians, our DNA gets upgraded. And if we're on the fence Christians, we get cancer. And if we're bad, we just get obliterated because our DNA just gets blown up. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen this particular take before, that the rapture isn't God, raising into the air or making people disappear from this planet, that instead the rapture is some sort of zappy upgrade and your new body is this upgraded body. Everybody else either dies immediately or gets cancer, which in that case, doesn't it seem maybe better to not be a Christian at all and be like living in sin so that you just get immediately annihilated instead of getting like cancer and leprosy? What? I don't know.
And when you look into what they're saying about this,
Who's they?
they also believe what I'm saying. I'm just giving you what I think is like the biblical version of this. Some people will get struck with disease. Some people will have their DNA upgraded, which I think it's like the rapture, just my opinion. And some people's DNA will break in a way where they themselves just break. And that's why the grid will go down, because the internet and AI, we're the batteries, guys. That's what the data centers are for. We power all of that stuff.
What? Does she think the data centers just have like a bunch of people plugged into them or something? What does she mean? Like, we as humans don't like power AI with our bodies. There are a lot of people who use AI and are the like demand that companies are trying to supply for. And the data centers are an important part of powering that AI, but that power is just coming from the electrical grid of whatever poor town got saddled with the data center and is now having to deal with the side effects of that, like the loud noise, the power consumption, and the water consumption and pollution that these data centers cause. These data centers are not good. I don't like how many of them we're building, and I don't like the effects that they have on communities. But to say that, like, we power the AI, what does she mean?
So they need us. If a bunch of people, either their DNA snaps and then like others leave entirely, that's obviously going to put the grid down because it's leeching on our life force.
The grid is leeching on our life force. Guys, stop using electricity immediately. Turn off all the lights in your house. Unplug all of your electronics. Don't, like me or this woman, make videos and edit them so you have to interact with electronics. Go completely off the grid. Use only natural methods of lighting because that electricity is apparently leeching off of your life force.
I also found it really interesting that in that video, that guy said it could happen right now. It could happen in a few days. No one knows the day or hour. It's gonna come out of nowhere. I've been completely obsessed with the auroras for years now, and I can tell you with certainty, they have not tracked them this closely ever up until the last 6 months. I don't know what's making them think that they need to track it this closely, but they're watching for it. And I know we all have been watching for it too, because the spirit is tapping on our shoulders.
Huh? What? Oh, sorry guys, spirit's tapping on my shoulder, telling me that this is true, apparently.
I always recommend doing a parasite and heavy metal cleanse. I have the link in my bio for what I use. But also, if you don't plan on like repenting and walking with Jesus, there's not really a point because it's just going to come back worse. So this isn't about asceticism. This is about preparing for what's coming and the coming deception, because they're obviously going to say that it's a solar flare or whatever nonsense they make up. It's the second coming.
So they're gonna somehow explain away the second coming by saying it was just a solar flare, and this solar flare is going to somehow strike all the people on Earth and either upgrade their bodies, give them cancer and or leprosy, or just completely break them because it just breaks their DNA. And so in that situation, the only people still left alive would be like very faithful Christians, and then the on the fence Christians who are currently suffering of cancer, who's just going to be brushing that off as a solar flare and not acknowledging it as the second coming at that point, if all you have left for healthy people are devout Christians. That doesn't make any sense. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day and an awesome week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Pew! Pew pew!
I honestly thought that I was losing my marbles.